droplets. They are everywhere. I mean, everywhere. But they are very hard to render. So I made this little shader, and I'm actually rendering all of these in real time on my potato computer. Now, I actually spent quite a long time studying this effect to balance looks and performance and find out the best way to share this workflow. So stick with me. First of all, we perform the Blender retro of sacrificing the default cube. Next, we go Shift A and add a plane. I want to set up a better looking scene before we start on the material. Let me switch to camera view, go to view, navigation, walk, navigation. So now we can use WASD to pilot the camera around. Wow, this is almost unreal. I'll activate the wireframe overlay to see our plane's geo, but I want a little more geometry so I can better sense the scale of the surface. So I'm gonna go to edit mode, right click and subdivide. Press Shift R to repeat the operation a few times. Back to camera view and also object mode. All right, let's make the shader. Click and drag here to create a new editor. You can hover the mouse and press T to hide this little tool menu. I'll change this editor type to shader editor. Hover the mouse and press N to hide this menu. I'm gonna create a new material here. I'm gonna darken the base color and make the surface fully metallic. Then lower the roughness a bit. I think 0.12 should work. Let's add our textures. Shift and A to search image texture. These are the texture we'll be using. You can find them in the description. I actually made these myself. Took some time to sculpt on actual droplet footage, then I baked the normal and height maps. You can use them for free, I don't care. To get started, we're going to mix different scales of droplets, and we use a noise texture to tell our shader where each will be applied. So let's add a noise texture, Shift A, and let's put this guy up here. Right now, we won't be able to see any changes on our material, so I'm gonna change material preview there. I'm using the Node Wrangler add-on, so you can Control Shift and click to preview any nodes. To activate this add-on, you go to Preferences, click on Add-ons, and you type Node Wrangler, and make sure it's active. To use this node to mix 3 scales of textures, we're gonna use a color ramp. Let's squeeze the flags in a little bit. You can actually change the colors of the flags down here. Let's make this one red. This one will be green. If you hold Ctrl and click on the ramp, you can add another flag. I'm gonna add another one right here and make this last one blue. Right now the noise texture still has very low contrast, so I'm gonna add a brightness contrast node and push the contrast to 10. Now we can see all the colors represented on the surface. With the noise texture ready, we can start setting our mixer up. I'll add a separate color node, and now we can access all the channels of our noise. To tell the mixer where each texture will go, we need a Pix color node. Shift D to duplicate, because we're gonna need 2 of these. The second value of this node will be red, and the colors on these will be green and blue. This is so we can debug the mixer before adding the textures. I'm gonna take the red channel and plug it into the factor here. So now red equals red, but black equals white. To fix that, we take this blue channel and plug it into the factor of the other mix node, then plug one into the other like that. The result should look exactly like the color ramp. Fantastic. Let's group these bad boys, select, and then press Ctrl and G. You can enter and exit a group by pressing Tab. Try not to get lost in them. Sometimes I do. To set up the mixer, we need to connect the group inputs to the mix nodes. Let's start with red. Press N to open up the group menu. We're gonna change the name from B to S. This is for our smaller droplets. Next, we plug the green, and this will be M for medium droplets. Double click M. Lastly, the blue channel. and this will be L for the larger droplets. So now we can plug in our textures once we have them, and let's wire up our texture into our mix. But first, I'm gonna change the color space of the normal texture to non-color, like that. To start setting up, select any of them and press Ctrl T. These are basic coordinates and mapping nodes. All textures will have at least one sharing mapping node. So if you hold Shift, right click and drag here, you can add or reroute this, but tidy things up. Let's actually press H to make them smaller and scale them on the Y-axis like that. Let's go to full view by pressing Ctrl and spacebar while hovering the shader editor. Now I want to duplicate this node. Press Ctrl Shift D and drag downwards. We need one for the height and one for the normal map. Let's start with the small texture. Put the height into the first group and the normal into the second group. Now we add a new node. This is going to be a vector math node. I'm going to change this from add to scale. Each pair of textures will have its own scale. So I'm going to Ctrl Shift D, duplicate all three of these. Now each height will go to the top group and each normal will go to the bottom group. But medium goes to M and large goes to L. You get it. I'm gonna change the values 12, 6 and 3 on the scales. And we're gonna make a group out of everything here. So select and press Ctrl G. Let's configure this group a little bit. Press F2 to rename it. Textures Suite. So inside our group we have 4 values we need to add inputs for our total scale and our 3 individual texture scales. Let's add a little reroute here to tidy things up. I'm gonna rename these inputs in their N menu. First I'll change the first input from vector to float. This one will be our total scale, then comes our S scale, M scale, and the L scale. Make sure that your total scale is not 0, 1 is good. On the output, select connect the mixer to the output socket, and let's rename the outputs to height and the second one to normal. There we go. For the shader to work, we need a sharper version of the height map to separate the wet surface from the dry surface. So let's drag the height mixer into an empty socket and move it to the top and rename it to sharp height. Now I'm gonna add a color ramp, intercept our little output, and I'm gonna extend it like that so we can have more precision. Control and space to leave full screen because I wanna preview this color ramp. I'm gonna start by dragging the white flag down, drag the black flag up. Now Control and click to add another black flag, then change the gradient from linear to B-spline. We want a lot of very white blobs on a sea of black with a very sharp yet smooth transition. So let's leave the group and wire this all up. The way this works is by using 2 normal maps. Duplicate this. Both normal map nodes take the same color input, which is the normal from our texture group. But the top goes to the first normal and the bottom goes to the quote normal. Now we need a math node. Change this to multiply. Plug the sharp height to the first value. Then change the second value to -1. This will go to the normal map strength. This is how we fake the refraction of the water droplets. Now we take the sharp height and plug it into the strength of the second normal map. Plug the height into the width of the coat. And I'm gonna add a little reroute here. Next, change the IOR of the coat to 1.33. That's the IOR of water. Let's take our camera and add some depth of field. And let's see our droplet so far. The reflection is a little strong, so let's change the normal multiplier from -1 to -0.5 and tweak the roughnesses. And I think our shader is finished. Yeah, I'm gonna change the AGR to test the shader, but this isn't really the end. Like here I added positive depth parallax to the droplets, so they behave as 3D objects. And here I added droplets with an anisotropic surface. I know my OBS is lagging, but this is real time. Here we have droplets on a dielectric and curved surface. And here we have droplets on a metallic surface with natural annular highlights. And here I applied the droplets on a soda can for product backshot animation. I actually recorded the process of making this can. You can watch it on the link in the description. I hope you liked this video. I can't wait to see what everyone would do with this workflow. So go out there and make wet stuff. See you guys in the next one.